Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who, when he said he wanted more veteran, good wide receivers to join the AFC East, this is not what he meant. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Listen, these teams saw Drake May play once and said they needed to load up now and get their rings while they can. So I get it. I get it. He looked really good his first start, so they're gonna try and get ahead of the curve here. So it's understandable.
Yes, obviously a ton to talk about here. We had a quarterback change yesterday, multiple wide receiver trades yesterday, a ton to get into. We have 15 games to talk about. Weirdly, next 2 weeks, only two teams having a bye, so we're basically back to a full slate, Kyle.
Yeah, a lot going on here, and a lot going on in the NFL world. So we're looking forward to it, and create some drama. So we gotta love it.
Yes. Speaking of drama, Kyle, I mean, the Bills-Jets game was, in many ways, a classic, in many ways, a disaster as well. No shortage of things to talk about after the Monday night game, which, of course, as always, we recap the Monday night game before getting into the preview of the next week. This was plenty of places we can go to start off with this. Insane refereeing in this one, as insane officiating, as there was just a ton of penalties. And I thought like 90% of them were legitimate penalties. I thought these teams were just playing sloppy, although there definitely were some controversial ones as well. Josh Allen made a lot of really nice plays here. I thought Aaron Rodgers played well as well. Ultimately not good enough to get it done, though. Kyle, what was your thoughts on this game?
Agree with mostly everything you said. I thought both quarterbacks played really well. And it took a slip at the end of the game for this game to kind of be decided. And I don't know. I feel like the Jets have to kind of be looking at this. Buffalo did play well in this game. I want to give them their credit. They played well. They bounced back after two tough losses. But I think if you look at the Jets situation, yes, they did get the benefit of the Hail Mary, which Aaron Rodgers just hitting Hail Marys every time is now just getting ridiculous. But even beyond that, they had the two missed field goals, several, it wasn't like I'm not going to say one penalty or anything ever decides the game. That's usually where the people with the officials argument lose me, is they look at one call. But at the same time, some of those penalties for the Jets were pretty backbreaking. And I did think they were flags. So it is what it is. But some roughing the passer penalties, stuff like that, really came back to bite them in this when they had opportunities to get stops too. So I just think that the Jets kind of shot themselves in the foot a few times. And while I did think Buffalo did play well, I think the Jets have to look at this this one got away from us.
Yeah, they had multiple missed field goals due to one of them, you could clearly see the ball going through, and then the wind just takes it towards the hits the post there. This was absolutely. It was kind of in the fourth quarter. You kind of felt like, okay, whichever team loses this game is going to feel like they blew the game, because all they had to do was just clean up a couple mistakes and they would have won it. I think something we have to bring up is this Jets defense played significantly worse in this game after firing Robert Saleh, which is something you have to mention. There was even a play where they had 12 men on the field, had to burn a timeout. It could get better in the long term, but in the short term, it might have just been the Josh Allen factor. But in the short term, it's not off to a great start.
Definitely not up to a great start. And you look at this Buffalo team the two games before, where the Ravens basically shut him down. And then the Texans, I think Allen was 9 of 33 in that game. Obviously, we expected a little bit of a resurgent performance from Josh Allen. He is Josh Allen for a reason. But man, they couldn't get stops. They really couldn't. So Buffalo's offense did play well. And doing it too without James Cook. And, it's already been kind of, this team. The Bills also came away from this game looking to add talent too in the trade. That was another move that happened. So, I thought it was just interesting to see that all play out. And, I think the Jets defense really struggled. I don't know if I'm going to say now it's going to regress a lot because of Robert Saleh, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. It is interesting that both these teams ended up making a move to get a wide receiver. We'll talk about the Devontae Adams one at least. I don't know how you feel. I'm kind of sure. This a third round pick is not good. If this whole thing is bad, you're not getting you're not moving on anytime soon. There's no quick rebuild if this Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't work out. So it's the Denver Broncos thing. Might as well bring in Sean Payton. If this thing doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. You cut Adams. You wasted a third-round pick. That's not going to help you that much in the rebuild anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the right move. This is a team that already basically was all in, so you might as well just go further all in. And he's still a good player. It's just interesting. They've used a ton of assets, so what's another one, right?
Right. I just think this is all going to go poorly in a couple years anyway. There's no quick rebuild, and then the Bills adding Amari Cooper, I think makes sense, right? I mean, that's I don't know. Amari Cooper hasn't been having his best season this year, but right, yeah, it's hard to blame him too much given the situation he's in. So this could be good for Bills could really use a receiver if he's prime Amari Cooper. Like this is exactly what the Bills need.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's just like 80% of prime Amari Cooper, he has to be better than the guy he was in Cleveland this season. So hope it gets better because obviously there were some tough situations there in Cleveland. I don't think he made it better though. Is the issue is that he was also having his own struggles, and you can blame Watson all you want. I think Watson made plenty of mistakes. There's plenty of criticism that rightfully goes to Watson, but like Cooper was also dropping touchdowns, stuff like that, So he does have to play better, but I do think he has it in him, and they should be capable of handling that situation.
Yeah, should be interesting. We'll talk more about these two teams as we move on. You're good in that game?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the one thing about this game is that it was kind of important for the division. Bills now have a 2-game lead over the Jets, and Dolphins obviously dealing with their quarterback issues have kind of fallen out of the picture for right now. Maybe they find a way to bounce back if Tua comes back sooner than expected. So like a 2-game lead is substantial as far as the playoff picture goes. And Buffalo having that, I think, is a huge advantage right now. And Jets basically have to win the second game now between these two.
Yeah, Jets have to win a lot, including their game they play this week, I think, to try to get back in it. They're not dead yet, though. Again, we'll talk about them more when we get there. Kyle, for the first time in On the Sideline history, we had a perfect week. We got every single game correct. I think we can pop the champagne for us. Granted, in fairness, we did pick every favorite, and all the favorites won this week, but still, good job by us, I think.
Yeah, very good job by us. We got to celebrate our wins. I think there were some pretty interesting results last week. So it's not all like we just, went with the chalk. I think it also happened in an interesting way. So good job by us.
Yeah, there were a few close ones. That few I was like, I don't know about this one. Ended up getting it right, and we hit both our locks. So there you go. Kyle, I am still trailing by 2 points. It's a close game as of right now. I'm going to give you. I'm going to say this right at the top. We will not go perfect this week. This is a loaded slate. I mean, we deserve this week after last week, which is kind of a bummer. There's great games here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I did have a lot of trouble with this list for sure. So, interested to see where you go first. Let's see if we line up.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the underdog Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings, who are 2.5-point favorites at home. Who do you have winning?
Yeah, this was number one on my list too. I don't love either selection here. I've been riding with both these guys. I've been on the Minnesota bandwagon basically since week 2, and I've been on the Detroit bandwagon basically since Dan Campbell took over. So I'm struggling. I really am. This Lions team has been a buzzsaw the last few weeks, especially on offense. But I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Okay.
I think the Aiden Hutchinson thing is going to be a huge problem. It's not going to get solved this week. Obviously, they're not going to make a trade for a guy who's going to start right away. And I worry about if, Minnesota has a good offensive line. And I worry about the idea of, I think Hutchinson does so much as far as the pass rush go. And I worry about if Detroit's not going to be able to get pressure. They have some questions, I still think, on the defensive side of the ball, even though, they've had some good moments. They held up last week for sure. I'm still not convinced like Terrion Arnold is going to go into this sort of situation, this sort of matchup and be okay. As much as I like Carlton Davis, I think he's a good player. I think it's a different class between him and Justin Jefferson too. And if they can't get pressure on Sam Darnold, if he has time to throw, then all of a sudden I think like guarding Justin Jefferson, guarding Jordan Addison, some of these guys becomes that much harder. And that's where I'm kind of leaning on this one. So I think Minnesota is going to be able to move the ball, and maybe Detroit still puts up points because they've done it the last few weeks and they've looked absolutely awesome. But I think I trust Minnesota to get enough stops to make this happen. So give me the Vikings here.
I think I would have had to reluctantly pick Minnesota as well. But definitely, I'm glad I don't have to pick this one because I think the question, to me, the bigger thing I'm interested in is the notoriously Jared Goff. Not a fan of Brian Flores, not personally, but just the scheme has obviously given him trouble over the years. Obviously, famously, a game that I know you remember very well, the Patriots Rams Super Bowl, when Flores was calling plays and did not go well for Goff in that one. And Stephon Gilmore's in this game too. Goff's going to have flashbacks throughout this one. You know, it's going to be tough. I do have to say, Goff did beat Flores twice last year and looked good. Granted, Minnesota's was not the team last year that they are this year, so it is different, but that is still worth mentioning. So I think that's, to me, that's kind of the X factor. Is on paper, these Lions receivers, there should be guys who could win one-on-one matchups, right? We just saw it against Dallas, who was trying to blitz Goff and it went horrible. But like Flores, it's just a different kind of animal, and I think that's the biggest storyline going into this game.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is debatably the best offense in football. I mean, I think it debatably a top 2 or 3 offense in football against a top 2 or 3 defense in football. So, I mean, that's obviously the story. And, you know, the Flores thing is built to confuse people and make it difficult and make it hard to read at the line of scrimmage. And Goff's going to have to be in check on all of those and not make mistakes. And, you know, I think he has been prone to some mistakes this year. Obviously not the last couple weeks, but, you know, he has done it a few times this season. And this is going to be a tough defense to go against like that. So I think that's a tough part. Gilmore's played lights out football, I think, at corner too. You know, that's a huge upgrade to what Minnesota was last season, because I did think the corners were a little suspect for them in kind of why they started running this scheme to begin with. And having this scheme now with good corners, I think just is adding to it. So I do think it is a fascinating one, but yeah, I just think I look at both sides of the ball and I think Minnesota has a little bit of an edge. I think it's really close though. And maybe this is just another learning lesson from Minnesota. Like this is like they beat San Francisco already this year. So we already kind of know this is a pretty good team, but like, I mean, this is a statement for like Super Bowl contender. I feel like at this point, the way the Detroit teams played the last few weeks, like winning this game, I mean, put them at the Super Bowl favorites for the NFC at this point.
I was going to ask you, is the winner of this game favorites in the NFC?
Yeah, probably.
Even over, I think you could still argue San Francisco, but if there are 3 losses, I think you have to say right now whoever wins is favorites. I agree. Yeah, the flip side of the coin though is that this Lions defense has played well. It's 9th in EPA per play on the year, so like it hasn't been a bad unit. And this, we've seen the Vikings offense look a little human as of late. I think that's kind of the other side of the coin is, well, yes, you know, Justin Jefferson can get open against anybody. I think the Lions have to have the mindset of, you know, watch that Jets game, the Robert Saleh game. Maybe hire Robert Saleh. Should they hire Robert Saleh in this game?
Yeah, just bring him in last second. I don't think it's a bad thing. So I agree with you. I do think Detroit defense has played well. Mm-hmm. That being said, they had debatably the best defensive player in football so far this season with those statistics. And yeah, I don't know. I think that adds a lot. I do.
It does.
I do like the way they play up front, though. Like, I think they're going to be able to limit Aaron Jones in this thing. But like you said, so if they devote all their time to stopping Justin Jefferson, that probably means it's a lot of one-on-one matchups between Terrion Arnold and Jordan Addison. And I have to say Addison's going to win that matchup, right? Like that's probably the advantage. Plus, you know, TJ Hawkinson's a limited participant in practice starting today. He has the option to come back now. You know, TJ Hawkinson adds another element to this offense too if he's back there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think, you know, Kieran in the chat says, who would you have picked? I think I'm also leaning Minnesota, but should be a very interesting game.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it. I'm very fascinated. And there is a lot of storylines here. And, you know, these two teams are going to be scouting each other out for how they're going to look down the line.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on because again, we have a ton to talk about. Still, plenty of great games here. Kyle, give me one of them.
Yeah, this is the most competitive games are also the marquee games this week. So let's go Kansas City at San Francisco. This was next on my list.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's this is a good one. I can't not pick the Chiefs. I said I'm done until the Chiefs lose. I'm picking the Chiefs every time. I'm picking the Chiefs to win this one as well. We just saw what happened. This should be a crazy game. The 49ers are 1.5-point favorites, which I always get confused. If you're the home team, do you get a full 3 points or is it like 3 points? Like if this was a neutral site, is it 0 or is it would the Chiefs be 1.5-point favorite?
Well, so they've changed it. So not every home field has a 3-point home field advantage. I would imagine San Francisco is probably one that has closer to it, but like they do adjust it based on the team. Like I don't think the Chargers have any advantage. Probably
they have a disadvantage.
Yeah.
There's goes the other way. Still a little, but either way, you have to imagine it's close to a pick 'em in a neutral site. The again, it's the Mahomes factor though. Like I'm not gonna pick against Mahomes. It's the 49ers absolutely have the horses to win this game, but also I mean and. Not to mention, again, doing my whole classic thing of like, are they really going to have a fourth loss this early in the season? But it's certainly possible. This is why dropping some of those games early is tough for San Francisco.
Yeah, very much so. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to look at. I mean, we just did this preview like 7 months ago, and I still think a lot of it rings true. Like, how, especially at this point, like, I do think the Fred Warner, Travis Kelce thing is going to decide a lot of this game, right? Like, I think Kelce kind of got him a few times in the Super Bowl, and that was a big difference in that game, how well Kansas City moved the ball. And yeah, I do think that's going to be a huge part of this game. And, I think that especially now without Rashee Rice out there, because they had him obviously during the Super Bowl, as much as I like the talent Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster when he's with Patrick Mahomes for some reason, is just a different animal. I just think that's a downgrade. That's a clear downgrade. And not to mention, you don't have a guy like, Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield. It's Kareem Hunt, who is fine. Obviously a little older and not quite in his prime anymore. So that changes things too. So yeah, I think all that put together, like, I think I would lean San Francisco, but like, there's also that Chiefs magic that they haven't lost this season for a reason. This defense is still really tough to go against. And, there's still a chance they put a ton of pressure on Brock Purdy and make this interesting.
Another interesting aspect of the Chiefs right now is their run defense has been very good to start the year. 7th best in EPA per play. We know the 49ers like to run the ball a lot. That's, might not be the Chiefs have become kind of last year. It was like the secondary is amazing. The run defense is okay. This year, it's like now both aspects are amazing. So there's no real way to beat this Chiefs defense. And again, I think while I totally agree that on paper, the team with pretty much an advantage on 80% of the roster should be the team that wins. Like it's when it's Mahomes, that's a big advantage, and that can make up for a lot of disadvantages. Even if, and I would also say, I don't think the disadvantages are by that much. This is still a good Chiefs team.
Yeah, very good Chiefs team. This defense is legit. Steve Spagnuolo is going to have some crazy blitzes drawn up, and they're gonna get him a few times. It's just like can San Francisco hit the big plays in the passing game? Because I think they are going to have to throw the ball. Jordan Mason is questionable in this game too, and I think that's a huge downgrade from Christian McCaffrey still, as well as Mason has played this season. And I do think they're going to have to throw the ball downfield and beat the Chiefs in the passing game, and that's we'll see how that works out for them for sure, because it's had mixed results, I think, throwing on the Chiefs, but they have the receivers that should have the advantage on the outside.
Kyle, another take here. So I'm watching the Guardians Yankees game, hoping for to see a Yankees loss. All of a sudden I see Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in New York watching the Guardians Yankees game. I see Taylor Swift cheering on a Yankees home run. Taylor Swift's a Yankees fan too now? Kyle, what's happening?
I have no idea. I guess she's a Yankee fan.
That's not going to beat the bandwagon allegations if that's the case.
Yeah, I know. Is she going to go to a Lakers game too or something? Lakers, right. Chiefs, Yankees. I mean, what's the trifecta there? Toronto Maple Leafs?
I was confused about this. Neither one of them were wearing any gear. I couldn't tell if is Travis Kelce a Yankees or Cleveland fan? Like, what's happening here?
Well, I know he's a Cavaliers fan because they're from Ohio, the
Okay.
Kelseys. So I'm assuming that he was a Guardians fan, unless he's a Reds fan because he went to Cincinnati. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to analyze that too much, to be honest.
Just something that I thought was funny you're seeing Travis Kelce at another game and Taylor Swift at another game now. Overlap 618 in the chat with an $100 super chat. Overlap 618. Thank you. Merry freaking Halloween, Jackson. This is Overlap. First off, number one, I want a preliminary period of mod where I show you I won't ban everyone. And number three, I want a Hocus Pocus movie review. Here is your 100. Overlap. You can't just give me money and then force me to do a review. I specifically said I won't do it again.
Well, he's trying his best. I want to know what number 2 was because we went from number 1 to number 2.
Yeah, I think Overlap might be again might be a fast typer, it seems.
Yeah, it's okay. We appreciate it, Overlap.
Overlap is not thrilled with the idea of me. Overlap, I'll give you the money back if you need me to. But no, I will not be doing the movie review. I appreciate the super chat, but no.
Oh, come on. You don't want to watch Hocus Pocus?
I'm okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes. When I was watching Ernest Scared Stupid, the whole time I'm like, this is not worth it because first off, Google takes 40% of the super chats, so we only get 60%, and half of it goes to you. So I mean, $30 off the Ernest Scared Stupid review. That was not worth it.
Oh, I'm sure it was a good time. But, all right. I think we covered everything here.
Yes, we did. Thank you for the super chat, Overlap. You always make it more lively show. Kyle, so now it's my turn to give you a game. I'm going to give you Texans at Packers.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Why not? I'm going to lock up the Texans.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel decent about it. Like, why not? Like, I just need the Texans to win. I think they're the better team here. I know it's going to Lambeau, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's not like you get into the frigid cold Lambeau situation. So I think I feel pretty good about this pick. I think the Texans defense is still very, very good. I think they played lights out football. And look, Jordan Love had a very good game last week. He looked fantastic. He's still a guy who puts the ball in harm's way. And I think there's an opportunity here that the Texans could get a couple turnovers. I think CJ Stroud's played very well. This is going to be a tough matchup. Like, it's not a foregone conclusion, but like, yeah, I think the Texans have enough juice here to get this one. So give me the Texans just to win.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the Packers favored by 2.5. I get that they're at home, but I still felt like, I don't know, it feels like Houston's been the better team to start the season. I guess, I mean, I guess at least it seems that way. I'm looking up the numbers. You have the Packers better in both offensive and defensive EPA to start the year, but you have to imagine part of that is just level of competition. I think the Texans have more I guess it goes back to what you're saying of like, it seems like the Texans have these games that they should win and just keep winning by like 4 instead of by like 20. And like, maybe that's just part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure that plays a big part in it. Plus, like, there's still, Nico Collins is on the IR, and I think that's going to be still a big thing throughout this stretch. But like, Tank Dell played pretty well last week, and so did Stephon Diggs. They have both of those guys, so it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see that against the Green Bay secondary. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this is I know what the analytics are saying, but my eye test is still saying something else, right? Like, I don't think this team has been all that convincing. Like, they lost the Philadelphia game. Obviously, week 1, things change. The Minnesota game, they did come back and make it interesting, but, Minnesota had that in hand, it felt like, for the most of it. And then this team struggled with Los Angeles, who's been kind of up and down this year and has a lot of injuries. So I'm not 100% sold on either of these teams yet as like contenders. So I want to kind of learn a little bit more. Like I said, the Texans still make a lot of mistakes. They still commit a lot of dumb penalties, but I'm not asking them to, win this one by a lot like a lot of people have this season. I just need them to win the game.
Yeah, it's a good lock because all they have to do is win. And I think I also had Houston. I also picked Houston for what it's worth, so I understand the logic. I do think it's fair to say that this Packers defense as a whole, I think it's played well this year. I think it's been better than it's had its bad moments, but as a whole, I think it's done good. I do think the question is for this Texans offense that, again, not to bring up EPA every single part, but it's been 16th in EPA per play this year. It hasn't been rolling the way we thought it might. And part of that is just I think the offensive line maybe not being able to hold up totally well, especially on the interior, maybe not getting the best running game stuff going. But like that is something that you have to look into. I mean, third worst rush EPA right now. It is going to be, can CJ Stroud throw all over the Packers? Maybe. He's very good, but like again, they are asking him a lot here.
Yeah, and also the Packers run defense, which was debatably like bottom tier last season, has gotten a lot better too. So that could play a part. But like Joe Mixon obviously played last week. He's back. Damian Pierce is back too. They traded Cam Akers because they felt pretty good about those two now being healthy. So maybe that gets better too. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with Houston is that like we've said it before. It's a lot of like CJ Stroud, bail us out, please. And he's done it. He's made some really good plays. He's been very good this season, but it's also just asking a lot of one player to kind of say, fix us. And I think a lot of the things that I think I have problems with Houston based on what I've watched this season are fixable. They just have to fix them. So we'll see if they can.
Yeah. I think the other thing too you have to wonder is just what Jordan Love are we going to get? Are we going to get last week's Jordan Love where he looks like he's Aaron Rodgers, or are we going to get a couple weeks ago Jordan Love where he looks like Aaron Rodgers in Florida?
Yeah. I mean, there's a big debate about it, so let's see. I think it's a if he continues to play well, then Packers might win this game. But I don't think that he can get away with multiple turnovers again and expect to win this one.
Yeah, what a game, Kyle! This game was flexed down to 1:00. That's how good the slate is.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to. I mean, these three games that we just said are all A-tier games.
Yeah, well, let's keep it going with at least an A-tier A-tier dramatics here, I guess. A-tier storylines. Jets taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, wait, no. What am I doing? This is your turn to give me a game. Kyle, where are you
going? Yes, it is my turn. This is maybe A-tier storylines, but not that one. Let's go tomorrow night. Let's go the Sean Payton Bowl. Denver at New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah, I'm this is a good one. This was not next to my list, obviously. We know what that was, but the one right after. I'm picking the Broncos to win this one. I don't feel great about it. I did think Spencer Rattler showed some real promise. It is worth mentioning the Saints scored in one quarter in that game, and sure, they scored 27 points, but they did have a punt return touchdown and a couple of short fields that led to another 10 of those points. But I still thought Rattler played all right. We saw how when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just kind of blitzed the hell out of Rattler, he wasn't able to do a ton. I'm sure Sean Payton noticed that. I think that that is a way that you can try and get some wins there. And also, Olave has been ruled out at this point. So with this Broncos secondary, you have to pick Denver to win. I just don't know how the Saints are going to get guys open. But again, there is still some hope here. I do think the Saints have a good defense of their own. Maybe you can get some turnovers, but at the same time, Bo Nix has been pretty good at protecting the football this season. I feel like he hasn't made a lot of those dumb rookie mistakes. So yeah, I'm going with Denver here.
Yeah, I think now that I forgot about the receiver injuries and Rashid Shaheed's also out. Like,
yeah, crazy.
That's a tough situation. Mm-hmm. No quarterback and not your best two receivers. That's definitely going to ask a lot of like Kamara and some of these guys to step up. But like, I probably would go Denver here because of all that. But like, I also don't think Denver's like a foregone conclusion kind of team that they should win this one handedly. Like you said, they played pretty well this season. The defense is good. And now at this point, you probably expect the defense to shut them down. And I mean, if we're being honest, like, I think the Saints played pretty well. Like you said, Rattler showed some problems, but it felt a lot like Tampa Bay fell asleep a lot of those times, it seemed like, in that game. So I think that second quarter was a weird one, and that's basically where they scored all their points. I don't know what I'm going to make of that going forward, but, I think this defense can still get after Bo Nix. I think it still can get after this Broncos offense and probably make this low scoring and interesting at the end.
Yeah, that's the hope. Is run the ball a lot with Alvin Kamara, get limit possessions, and I think he can do some nice things. The Broncos defense hasn't been quite as good against the run defense as it has in pass defense, but that's because it's literally the best in pass defense. So, or one of the best in pass defense. So, I think that there is hope. I don't know. I can't bet on this Saints team just with they're too injured. The Saints healthy, I probably would be picking them to win. I might lock them up to win if this is a fully healthy Saints team. It just isn't. But then the one thing I was thinking of as well is, Kyle, is there a chance this could be Dennis Allen's last game as a head coach?
Ooh, that seems like such a harsh firing. I mean, I don't think he's like an amazing coach or anything. That still feels pretty harsh for me. I don't know.
So? I think the organization, I think the fan base is not thrilled with Dennis Allen right now.
I wouldn't be either, but I don't know. Like, at least with like I don't know. I think at this point, with the amount of injuries they had, he probably got himself some pent up, like, kind of cushion. Like, he may end up actually lasting the season if like guys miss multiple weeks.
It's true. They do have a bye week in a few weeks. The issue, though, is the game before the bye week is they're playing the Browns. So, like, it's hard to imagine. Like, maybe if they lose to the Browns, then he'll probably be gone there. But yeah, usually with the long week, there's more potential. But yeah, probably not. Any more thoughts on this one?
I just look at it like Carr's out, Olave's out, Shaheed's out. You know, Cesar Ruiz is out, Eric McCoy's on IR, Ramczyk's out. Like, I don't know. That's really tough.
It is. Although I think the argument would be, well, the defense is mostly healthy. It just gave up 51.
Yeah, that's true. But I think a lot of that, I mean, they had a defensive touchdown and then another touchdown off a turnover. I mean, they still got gash on the ground. So
all I'm saying is Saints fans are fed up with Dennis Allen.
I mean, I definitely don't think he's going to last beyond the season, especially assuming at this point now with all this, they're going to miss the playoffs. But like, I don't know if it's going to be a midseason thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on. Kyle, now I get to talk to you about Jets Steelers. The Sunday night game, I'm very excited for this one. You have the Jets now with Devontae Adams. Someone brought up in the chat, and I didn't fact check it, so I hope it's correct that this will be the back-to-back games that Adams is playing against the Steelers. You also have Russell Wilson, not officially being named a starter, but he's getting first-team reps, so it appears as though he's going to be starting in this one. Kyle, who do you have winning this kind of crazy matchup?
Yeah, the Jets. No, I'm not buying into the Russell Wilson resurgence season.
Okay.
I think that's a mistake. And look, I don't think Fields has been perfect, but I think his ability to run the ball adds an element to the Steelers team that helps the offense because there's not enough creativity in this offense. There just isn't. Like, it's a very George Pickens dependent offense. And maybe what Russell Wilson gives the ball to George Pickens a lot better than Justin Fields. But like Justin Fields just adds another element to this team that makes it difficult to stop. So yeah, I think it's I'm not buying Russell Wilson. I'm not buying even George Pickens against Sauce Gardner. And so yeah, give me the Jets, and I feel pretty good about this win.
It's a surprise. Let's talk about the move first of all. To go with Russell Wilson before we get too far into this. I was surprised as well. And there's kind of two arguments. The first argument is, well, they're 4-2. Why would you make a quarterback move when you're 4-2? I'm always kind of of the belief of you don't have to stay with your quarterback. Like, if you feel like one quarterback is better than the other quarterback, go with the better quarterback, even if you're winning with the quarterback you think is worse. I think the issue is, I don't know if Russell Wilson's better than Justin Fields. Like, I think that Fields has kind of shown that, essentially their offense is throw it up to George Pickens or Justin Fields run. Like, you're taking one of the two things that has worked for this offense out and hope that the rest can work better. Yeah.
I'm just not really sure what, Wilson is bringing to this offense. Like, I think he played okay last year. Like, I thought he was fine. But, I think this offense needs more than fine to win football games. Like, they can't get by with an average quarterback just because I don't think they have the offensive talent. And I think Justin Fields was kind of playing fine plus, like just Jag plus, basically. And I just don't know if, Wilson's ever going to be able to match that because he just doesn't have the athleticism anymore. I mean, I thought Fields did everything that they needed for them to win games.
Well, at least I would say every game except for Dallas. I didn't think he had a great game against Dallas, but I agree. Other than that, I think he did well. I mean, I think part of it is just they went with Wilson preseason. Like Wilson did play better than Fields in the preseason, I'm not even saying I think Wilson is the worst quarterback of the two. Like I think like if it's a neutral like team, I have to pick one quarterback. I might pick Wilson. Like I don't think it's a crazy, or at least you could pick Wilson. It's not crazy. I just think with this roster, like it was kind of my take in the preseason was there's too many holes on this offense. You're better off just picking the guy who can do more by himself.
Yeah, because he's more athletic. So
Right.
it is an interesting thing. We'll see how it works out, but I'm a little skeptical, and we'll see if it works out with the Russell Wilson era. I don't know.
The flip side is that this Steelers defense is making everyone look silly. Everyone's had a tough time against the Steelers defense. You now got the Jets who love looking silly. It's one of their favorite things to do. So this is, I mean, Kyle, Aaron Rodgers, I felt this is kind of an underrated thing. We didn't talk about this in the game, but like every time the guy gets hit, it feels like he's like done for the drive. Like it feels like he like there was a play in the Monday night game where he got hit hard, and then like the next time there's like pressure starting to emerge, and he just threw the ball immediately because like he doesn't want to get hit. Like he's taking these hard hits. TJ Watt's coming to town. I mean, that's how the Steelers win this game. Is they win this game, 13-10.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a case for that. This defense, I mean, how many times has the Steelers won that kind of game? So it makes complete sense. I will say, like, I mean, if you're going to get us on one player to kind of decipher the Steelers, it's probably Rodgers, right? Like, just because he has so many reps facing basically everything. Like, so you probably say he's the one guy that you would be equipped enough in the league to, like, handle any sort of, like, weird defensive schemes, stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's just like he has to be able to stand in there and he's going to take a hit. Like it's guaranteed to happen. It's TJ Watt. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers defense can win the game. Like I shouldn't say I'm completely comfortable with it because I do think it is in the cards that this team can still win it with its defense.
Martin Rummel in the chat says Jets not beating the Steelers with that O-line, you stupid dummy. So Martin disagrees with you, Kyle.
All right, well, that's fine.
I like the ones that are just pointlessly mean. Like it's like you totally could have said it. You had your comment and then just threw on an insult at the end.
Yeah, stupid dummy.
That's a good insult. I'm gonna start saying that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start saying that. I'm gonna put that in all of my bios now. Just a stupid dummy who talks football.
Not just a dummy, but a there's a group of dummies, and you're a stupid one of those dummies.
Yeah, I'm a cream of the crop right there.
Yeah, Kyle. I mean, again, if whoever loses this game, there's going to be storylines throughout. Once again, the Jets just because they're the Jets, and then the Steelers of the Russell Wilson thing. So either way, I'm sure Colin Cowherd is pumped up about this game.
Oh yeah, he's got tweets lined up both sides, so can't wait for it.
Yeah, I agree. Any more thoughts on this one?
No, we can move on.
Okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, Seattle at Atlanta.
Yep, that was next on my list as well. Interesting line, I guess. I'm a little surprised that the Seahawks are 3-point underdogs, but not. I would have maybe guessed like 2.5. I'm picking the Falcons. I think the Falcons deserve to be favored here with how their offense has looked these past couple of games, and the Seahawks have just, I mean, quite frankly, not looked very good, especially the last 3 weeks. But even if you look now at the whole, 6-game sample size. Through 3 weeks, we kind of were saying, well, they haven't looked great, but they're 3-0. Like, you can't argue with the record. Well, you kind of can now. I mean, this has not been a great roster. I guess the one thing you look at, though, is that Atlanta has given up points defensively. We know that, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Geno Smith, those guys can still put up points. Even in this losing streak, they've been able to put up points at times. So they have a puncher's chance with that, but it's hard to bet against the Falcons offense right
now. Yeah. No, I agree. And especially with what we've seen from the Seahawks defense the last few weeks, I think you have to say Atlanta's offense has a massive, massive advantage right now. They've done everything we've wanted to see. Both these running backs are playing very well. They played very well last week. Drake London and Darnell Mooney had fantastic games last week. Mark Mooney's been debatably one of the best number 2 wide receivers in the league this season. And then Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has performed at the top 10 tight end level. So all these guys are getting involved. Kirk Cousins has looked fantastic the last 2 weeks, and the Seahawks defense has been diced, honestly. Like, it's just been picked apart. So you have to lead in Atlanta's offense in this one. I do think there is a case that the Seahawks also move the ball, and, we've gone over it. I think all of their guys have also played very well, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with Atlanta. I agree.
Yeah, again, a huge game for both these teams. For Seattle, I mean, got to stop the losing streak at some point. And for Atlanta, I mean, you're trying to keep pace here in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it is fascinating. I do wonder if I feel like Seattle has had moments of good coverage, and like I do wonder, can they get that here in this one? Can they get like the can they match up? But there's just so many weapons for Atlanta right now, right? I mean, it's just like you can't cover everyone.
Yeah. No, there's no way to cover everybody, especially if Mooney's going to play at this level. I mean, they just have so many options, and they go to all of them, and they find a way to spread the ball around. So it's definitely everything we wanted to see from this Atlanta offense the last couple weeks. If they can keep sustaining it, now this is probably the front runner for the NFC South. So they got to keep it up, and we'll see if they can continue to do so.
Hey,
sorry, man. I mean,
it's okay. We have a tough schedule. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, they did beat you guys, so they had the advantage.
Yeah, and they play Tampa Bay next week as well, so they'll, it'll be good for them to pick up the victory here. And I also don't love this Seattle. I feel like their depth coverage wise isn't the best. Like you have Witherspoon, you have Tariq Woolen, but I feel like and you have Julian Love as a safety. But like I feel like, again, there's so many weapons here. I just don't know if they have enough depth here to win this one. But we'll see. Again, have a puncher's chance with their offense.
Without a doubt, I agree.
All right, well, let's move on. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. I'm surprised by this line. I'm giving you your team, Kyle. Patriots, Jaguars. Where are you going?
Disrespectful line. I agree with that. I don't know what they're looking at here.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm going to take the Jaguars. I just think like the Jaguars are going to win this game by a field goal. The Patriots are going to make this look competitive. Trevor Lawrence is going to throw the ball all over. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like a stupid penalty derails a drive and the Jaguars win by 3. So, yeah, I think the Jaguars win. They do have some advantages, especially with the travel stuff. A lot of Patriots defensive issues, plus guys getting in trouble. But yeah, I just think that it's a 5.5 is a lot for a team that's looked pretty lifeless, I think, throughout the year.
Kyle, I'll give you an offer if you want. If you want a second lock, I will give it to you if you want to lock up the Patriots. I'm giving you that option.
I'm not going to lock it up. I'm not that confident in this team.
Okay. Just saying. It's I don't know. Got Drake. Come on, Drake May in here. How great would this be? Drake May can go off against Jacksonville. You get how happy would you be as you can then make lunch before the 1:00 games and just vibes could be through the roof.
I would be I would be very happy if they're able to do that. I think I saw a stat that like Trevor Lawrence has like 1 win or something against former number 1 picks or something. It's crazy. Like it was a bad record. It was a really bad record or something like that. But obviously, I don't know. Like Drake May going into London, I think that'd be fun. Going in and beating them up, beating Jaguars in basically their home stadium at this point. But yeah, I just think it's still a lot to ask, I think. But Jaguars defense does not look good. They've had plenty of issues on that side of the ball so far this season. Tyson Campbell's obviously not coming back at this point, I think. I don't know why I have a dog in the background going crazy. But yeah, I think there is a good chance that the Patriots throw the ball all over and make this interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's still too much to ask.
Come on, Kyle. It's the worst defensive EPA in the league right now. Patriots are going to win. I would have locked up the Patriots.
Would you have?
Of course, I can say that because I didn't have the game. So yeah,
if I gave you this game, you'd pick it.
No. I think I purposely gave you this one early because I would have considered picking the Patriots. I really do. I think like this Jaguars defense has been so bad. Like, and I kind of like what I saw from Drake May. I just think that Jacksonville in this game probably will be able to move the ball enough to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion Jacksonville wins this. I think New England can win this. So. It'll be fascinating for sure.
Yeah. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game. Your
team, Baltimore at Tampa.
Yeah, not a bad pick. This is next on my list as well. I'm hopeful Tampa Bay can So here's the thing. I'm picking the Ravens to win. In fact, I think I'm closer to locking up the Ravens than anything else. I'm not going to, but because I do think that this Ravens defense has been underwhelming to start the year. And you look at this Tampa Bay offense that really has been, dominant lately. It's just put up 51. against New Orleans. All of a sudden, they found a running game. I don't know how much to buy into that. But Kyle, their running game was so good last week. They're now a top 5 rushing EPA team just due to last week, like with how good that was, because they were bottom tier before that. The thing is, though, I just don't know how the Buccaneers are going to stop this Ravens offense. We've seen them play Lamar, I believe, a couple times, and it hasn't gone well either time. So I just think that this Ravens rushing attack, it's just so strong right now. They have so many different pieces. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 teams I'm picking to beat the Ravens right now. Maybe just one team, and it's Kansas City. I'm not picking Tampa Bay, but I'm hopeful we can at least put up a fight here.
Yeah, I think there's a chance of it. I guess it'll depend. Like, this Ravens defense has looked much better the last few weeks. Although, Jaden Daniels still played pretty well, I think, last week. Can Tampa Bay continue that trend and can Tampa Bay continue the trend of earlier in the season and throw the ball in this Ravens defense? I think that's going to be the interesting factor. Like I said, Daniels did get his numbers last week. He did play well. He didn't turn the ball over. And, Baker Mayfield has to do that. He can't have a Denver sort of game where, there's multiple turnovers, or even last week, with the mistakes that were made last week too. Not all of those are his fault, but, it's just they got to limit their mistakes and give themselves a chance. If they can move the ball, they can keep up with the Ravens, and that's what makes it interesting. But I still think the Ravens are a much better team.
Yeah, I thought if Tampa Bay wins, they have to score at least 30 points in this one. I really do. I think they have to win this one in a shootout. But they've put up points in other games. Kyle, here's a crazy stat: Lamar Jackson is 21-1 against NFC teams. When you don't play him a lot, it's hard to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very difficult to defend. So it's very difficult to defend even when you see him a lot. So it's not. I don't think that's crazy, but it's that's a pretty good stat. That is really really impressive. So, will you be pleased with Sean Tucker's performance this week?
Yes, I guarantee another 100-yard Sean Tucker performance.
Yeah, I always love those tweets in college. I am pleased with my performance. What a guy.
All right, yeah, I saw the. So was that a college thing? I saw the tweet this week. Did he do that in college all the time?
Yeah, he did that back in Syracuse too. Every time it was just, I am pleased with my performance.
Yeah, that's good. We should all be pleased with what we do.
Yeah, it's a good way to reach your goals, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, that'll be one of the Monday night games, the Ravens Buccaneers. Kyle, I'm going to give you a game. I'm a little surprised. I'm giving you this game just because it feels like it should be at the end of the show. But Eagles Giants. I mean, we talked about the Giants as kind of a scrappy team. You then have the the Eagles, who have been underwhelming. Their game plan is basically throw it up to AJ Brown over and over again. Not a horrible game plan. Will it work in this one?
I think so. I'm still picking the Eagles because I think I have to pick the Eagles just because the paper talent. But obviously this is going later than it should because it's not a foregone conclusion, right? There's plenty of variables to where the Giants can win this game. I think their defensive line has really turned it on and played well. They get after the quarterback now, and I think that's an interesting element to this team. If they're able to continually do that, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Azeez Ojulari last week too. They had guys like that get after the quarterback. And so, yeah, I think that's an interesting element to this Giants team. If they can get after Hurts, disrupt Hurts, and force him into mistakes, because I think he has struggled this year. I don't think he's been that good. But I still think there's a paper talent disadvantage. So I do like some of the things I've seen from the Giants. Like I said, that defensive line, maybe they get Malik Neighbors back this week with Wan'Dale Robinson, who has played well, I think, too, as that number 2 guy. And that makes it a little more interesting. But I still think it's the Eagles. I still think the Eagles have the better team on paper, and they should win.
Yeah, I think they feel good that he is going to play this week. So Malik Neighbors is, so that should help them. Yeah, the Eagles are just a bad vibes team right now, right?
Yeah, it's not fun. It's just not. But I don't know, because I also just think that Bengals defense had not been good at all this season, and Daniel Jones did not take advantage of that situation. So, he's got to make the throws in this one. Maybe having Neighbors back gives him that chance, but I still think it's asking a lot.
Yeah, you can't help but think about the times when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl where they crushed the Giants 3 times. Although the Giants did beat the Eagles late last season, so we'll see. Should be a fun NFC East match. Again, this is late in the show, and this is still a fun one, Kyle.
Yeah, no, this should be a good one. And if the Eagles lose this, like, I guess that's someone. Is this Nick Sirianni's last game if he is fired, or if
There's
if they
so
lose?
I think like logically you have to just let Sirianni coach this season, right? Like getting rid of him unless you get really embarrassed or something, like he should just have the leash. But they're waiting for an opportunity at this point.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the next loss. Honestly, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Nick Sirianni has to make sure he any long weeks coming up, like he has to make sure he wins those ones.
Yeah. Well, they got the interesting thing next week. Like, if they lose this one and then Cincinnati next week, then I don't know. I think he's on the chopping block if they're under 500.
I think if you lose to the Giants, that's it. I think that's actually in his contract. If you lose to Daniel Jones, then you're fired.
That would be pretty good. That's a pretty good contract clause. I mean, he lost to Tommy DeVito last year. So
That's true. But everyone loses to Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
We are gonna go with where are we here? Let's go Dolphins at Colts. Yeah.
Okay, Dolphins, Colts. I'm worried you have figured out my lock, which I feel like it happens too often, but we'll see. I'm picking the Colts. I mean, again, Dolphins about Tua haven't been too inspiring to say the least. I know the Colts haven't been, looking incredible either, but they've been winning football games or at least staying competitive in football games as of late. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to stick with the. It's gotta stick with the Colts as of right now. They're the biggest weakness for the Colts is downfield passing. I just don't know if Miami can take advantage of that. Maybe they can because they have the weapons, but do they have the quarterback to make it work?
Yeah. I agree with you. Plus, like, I don't know, like there is the element like Anthony Richardson should be back this week, and like I don't know if that's a good thing. Like,
right.
Does he turn the ball over too much against a team that they are better than? And I still think the Dolphins do have guys in their secondary that can create turnovers and cause problems. So, that is an element to this game that I think will be interesting. Can Richardson play better, take better care of the ball? He did a little bit in the last game before that he got injured in, but it's still been way too inconsistent, I think, throughout his career. So I think that's an element. But yeah, I mean, until we see like productive quarterback play out of the Dolphins, I just think that they're an automatic pick against, right? So I think it's too much.
Exactly. But I mean, for the Dolphins though, if you can find a way to win this game, like I don't know what Tua's timeline is. I've heard some rumblings that maybe he could be back before too long. Like if you can win this one, it could just make it that like you still have a chance. Like if you can just stay afloat.
Yeah. I mean, they've done okay. Like, I don't know, like winning that New England game was essential, basically. If they dropped that one, you probably start to think about tanking because it's tough to imagine finding wins if you can't beat that New England team in the way they were playing. So yeah, I think it's an interesting element, but like these next two kind of have to be wins that like show promise. If they don't win either of these two games, I think then you could probably start to begin to pack it in.
Yeah, and again, if Tua is out for the year, just already back it in. But yeah, definitely, and that's the way you win, right? Is you can hope you can finally get some deep shots to Tyreek Hill in this one.
Yeah, they have to find a way to get him back involved because it obviously hasn't been very good this season. With the quarterback situation, you have to find a way to get him and Waddle like just constant touches.
How was this not a Jameis Winston team? How did this would have been the most fun team in the world to have Jameis Winston on if he was the backup?
We've been saying every week we've been saying this team should have addressed backup quarterback. They didn't. Yeah. I mean, this is where they're at.
Yeah. So give him Joe Flacco, Colts. Come on, someone give this team a good quarterback. Well, maybe Tyler Huntley can pick it up. Let's move on, Kyle. So let's see. This is my turn to give you a game. I'm gonna save my lock for probably the end of the show at this point. I'm gonna give you Raiders at Rams.
Raiders at Rams. Yeah, this was next for me. Besides your lock. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take the Rams. Just the ultimate bad vibes going out of Las Vegas right now. Obviously, they trade debatably their most talented player who hadn't played the last few weeks. They looked pretty lifeless, I thought, last week in that game against the Steelers, and there's just not a whole lot to get excited about right now. I don't know if there's an offensive talent here. I mean, you get to watch Brock Bowers. That's the cool thing. But like
Mhm.
with the Rams coming in, they kind of desperately need this game. And I think they're going to play well coming off the bye week too. Plus, it sounds like Cooper Kupp is going to play. So I just think with all that happening, they're getting a little bit healthier. I think they're able to get this one back. So I think the Rams need this game if they want to stay in contention and stay interesting. So I think they go and get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of I said I've already written off the Rams. They're a 1-4. That is still possible. You can turn that around. Teams do that every year, but definitely if you drop this one, it's basically over. So a must win for both these teams if they're trying to stay competitive. I think the reason why I gave you this game over the other ones is just the other ones aren't that great, but I think that at least with the Raiders, I feel like they have a puncher's chance just because Rams defense hasn't been great this
Hmm.
season, and I kind of feel like. Do the Rams deserve to be 6.5 point favorites over anyone other than a couple teams? The Raiders have shown that they can move the ball. Granted, again, no Devontae Adams now, but can they get some Jacoby Myers stuff, some Brock Powers stuff? Can they get that to work and move the ball effectively enough to, keep this one interesting?
Yeah. I mean, they definitely have the best case of all the like big underdogs this week. There's four
Hmm.
games that have a pretty clear disparity. And I think they have the best case just because I don't think the Rams are as good as the other three big favorites. But like it still is asking a lot, I think, at this point. Plus, like I said, the Rams getting a little bit healthier, I think, plays a big part in that too. But yeah, I don't know if I can believe in this offensive talent. But I mean, we'll see. So the Rams, they have this game at home. They have Minnesota next week at home, or on Thursday night actually at home, and then they have at Seattle, home to Miami, at New England. So I mean, there's a case this team can work its way back to 2, 3, 4, back to 5-5 for Week 12 Philadelphia and get itself back in the playoff picture. But there's no margin for error. They have to win this game. They have to win the Seattle game, Miami game, New England game, and they can win all those games for sure. But no margin for error. I think at this point.
Yeah. And thank God it's crazy. Their one win was San Francisco too. Kind
Yeah.
of funny stuff with the Rams. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
All right. Let's go with I like your lock. I understand it here, but I also don't think it's a foregone conclusion either. So let's go Chargers at Cardinals.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was half considering should I lock up a different game. I'm locking up the Chargers here against the Cardinals. I'm surprised you picked up on this because I didn't think it was like a crazy, like an obvious lock or anything. But I just like what the Chargers are doing right now. It's not an
Mhm.
anti-Cardinals take. I guess it is a little. I'm locking up against them, but the Cardinals definitely have some pieces. But you have the Marvin Harrison Jr. is now banged up. You have Kyler who I don't know. The Chargers can rush the passer very well. That can give Kyler Murray issues. Chargers defense second best in football right now according to EPA per play, and this Cardinals defense has really struggled this season. So I think that the Chargers will be able to move the ball effectively in this one, and it's only 2.5 points. So all I need is the Chargers
Yeah.
to win by a field goal. So I feel good about this lock.
Yeah, I like it too. I agree with you. I like the vibe of the Chargers. I like the way they built that identity, all that kind of stuff. I think it all makes sense. The thing is, we've said it every week with the Cardinals. Like, if you catch this team on its best day, they can beat anybody. Like, they really can
Yeah.
because they have the offensive talent at quarterback. They have a good running game. And even if Marvin Harrison Jr. is not out there, like, I still think they need him to like be really successful, and he's a very good player. But like, even if he isn't playing in this game, like Trey McBride, Zay Jones, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, I think they have enough there to kind of make it a little bit interesting, especially the way McBride's playing. He's been one of the best tight ends in football, too. So I think there's enough offensive talent to be concerned the Cardinals find a way to put up some points. Plus, the way, similar to what we just said about Lamar Jackson, he's the poor man's Lamar in a lot of ways. Like, Kyler Murray, if you don't see him all the time, is really tough to defend. And he can
Hmm.
just make some crazy plays. So I think there is a case that happens, but like it's just, it has to be the right day for Arizona. Things have to go right. And there is an opportunity for that. That being said, I think the Chargers defense has been lights out. They've ran the ball well. I think Justin Herbert's played fantastic football as they've kind of put the training wheels on this offense because they just don't have the receiver talent. And I think Herbert's maximizing those passing opportunities. So I think it's been awesome.
Yeah. I agree. I think. I mean, you can never feel too confident locking up the Cardinals. You can never feel too confident locking up against the Cardinals. They just they're a wild team, but I think the Chargers have very much been a constant so far this season. I'm expecting them to continue to play well. Kyle, who would have thought after what weeks? Well, I guess the Chargers started off strong too, but we were so high on the Cardinals early on. How the mighty have fallen.
I know it was kind of expected a little bit that they might cool down a bit, but like it's just so hard to predict because like the offense has honestly been great 3 weeks and terrible 3 weeks, so it's just really hard to kind of pigeonhole that.
Yeah. Let's move on. 3 games left to talk about. That was my lock. I'm giving you a game. I'm gonna
Well,
give you.
I do want
Oh, go
to.
ahead.
I want to ask you one thing. So this Chargers thing is now interesting, right? Because like first year head coach, we were both kind of in on Jim Harbaugh taking over, where we're like, there's not a lot of talent here. But if they win this
Mhm.
game, obviously late Monday night game, 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't know why they're doing that to us, but anyway,
Uh-huh.
late Monday night game, they win that. We just detailed every injury that's going on with New Orleans offense. That's their next week game at Cleveland, who probably couldn't have worse vibes than anybody else in the league. Home to Tennessee, who, is Tennessee. I mean, this team legitimately could be 7-2 heading into a Bengals, Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs stretch, which is tough, and Tampa Bay right after that. That's a really tough, 5-game stretch, but there is a chance this team's 7-2 heading into that stretch and, potentially looking at a playoff run. I mean, how do you evaluate this team and, how far do you think this thing could go?
No, I mean I'm viewing them as a playoff team right now. I think that they feel like a wild card team. I don't think they're going to challenge Kansas City for the division, although they did play them tough. Again, everyone plays the Chiefs tough, but that was a competitive game. But like again, in the AFC right now, you look at the other teams. I mean, the Steelers are the other. It's like the Steelers. Right now, I'm viewing it as like Steelers, Chargers, and then who's going to be the 7th seed? Because like, is it going to be the Jets? Is it going to be the Bengals? Is it going to be the Broncos? I don't know, the Colts maybe. Like, I feel like the Chargers are like clearly like the 6th seed right now, if not the fifth,
Yeah.
5 seed.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if they are 7-2, I mean, if
Mhm.
they find a way to steal a game or two in that stretch, it's tough. But like, if I don't think it's crazy to say they beat Cincinnati, Atlanta, or Tampa. Maybe Baltimore and Kansas City is a bit of a stretch. But like, if they find a way to beat one other 2 of those teams, this is all of a sudden looking at an 11-12 win teams because they should beat Denver, New England, and Las Vegas to end the season.
Yeah. No. Fun times here for the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh. Never count that guy out.
Yeah, tough break for Brandon Staley again. Guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, that's gotta be a bummer. He had to have been upset when he found out his replacement was going to be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
He's like, Hugh
it's just
Jackson
like,
was right there. You couldn't have gone that way. John Fox still needs a job. Like, you had to go with Harbaugh.
yeah, is Jim Fisher still available? Jeff Fisher, I mean, yeah,
Yeah, come on, don't even know his name.
yeah. It's been a while since he's been in the league.
Unfortunately, Kyle, I'm going to give you a game. I was considering going one way. I think I'm going to actually give you a different game now. Though I'm going to go Panthers at balls. Let's talk some balls. Who do you have winning this one? I think I know the answer.
Yeah, not shockingly, I'm taking the balls in this one. I would consider locking up the balls. I would take the balls in the points. I think they win this one by double digits. There is a little Andy Dalton bump there for the Panthers, and I don't think he's been fine. Like, I don't think he's
Mm-hmm.
been like horrible. Obviously, it's still an upgrade based on what they had, but after that little bump in that one game where they played really well, it has not looked good, or at least good enough. And they've been blown out the last 2 weeks, and I expect another blowout with the, you know these balls are bouncing. I don't know how you stop this team right now. I don't know how you stop this offense. So I don't know how Carolina stops this offense specifically. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward for me.
We gotta come up with a better catchphrase than that, I think, for the balls. But then these balls are bouncing. But yeah, I mean, the one thing you have to look at is like, could the Panthers be able to put up enough points in this one to to win it that way? I don't know, probably not.
No.
I think they'd have to put up a lot to make it work. But that's why I gave you this game. Is it just like, Washington's 7.5-point favorites, but they do have a clear weakness, which is they can't really cover, and the Panthers have that is their strength. The issue is that the Panthers' weakness is everything else, every other aspect of football, and Washington's had maybe the best offense in the league to start the year, so that's just tough.
Yeah, very tough aspect. So I just don't know how they overcome that for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will also be picking. I would also take the Panthers with the points, but couple possible
You would take
blowouts
the Panthers with the points
or
or the Baltimore?
the I would take Washington with the points.
Yeah, that me too.
Yeah. No. If I'm taking the Panthers, I don't know. You can't bet on the Panthers at any point, really, right? What would the line have to
Probably
be?
like 14.
Yeah, so I
Like
was thinking
say
14.
14, 14 and a half. So they, win by two. Can they keep it within 2 touchdowns? Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, I think so. Kyle, so there's 2 games left. One of them we will not pick. We will talk about it though. But only because since there's an odd number of games, which one of the ones are you gonna give me, and then which game is, and then the other game will be left undrafted. What? Give me.
I guess I have to just give you the Bengals and Browns. Like
Hmm.
I'm just gonna go with that. I don't love either of these games.
This is one that if you didn't give me Chargers Cardinals, I was actually just gonna lock up the Bengals. I would have felt okay about this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is a, you know, I get where I get why you're giving me this game, but like, yeah, how can you? The one thing the Bengals have been poor at is pass defense. This Browns offense looks abysmal at throwing the football, and they just lost their best receiver, who also wasn't playing very well. It wasn't like he was
Yeah.
best receiver because he's been playing great. This Cincinnati offense might not be able to dominate. I'm worried about the Myles Garrett versus Joe Burrow thing. Like, can he get there consistently? That is the issue, and maybe you can make it a low scoring game. But like, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's stopping the Cincinnati offense right now.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody is stopping the
Well, I guess
Cincinnati
the Giants
offense.
were.
Yeah. I guess the one thing is like you could say in theory like there's still enough paper talent for the Browns to like limit them, but like we haven't seen it enough, so I can't bet on it. And Joe Burrow has played excellent football, so yeah, I think it's a pretty big disparity here, and yeah, I think the Bengals handled this one pretty well.
Yeah, if this is one of those, like, the Bengals would never fire a head coach mid-season. Certainly not when they try to make the playoffs. But like, this is like if they were a normal team, the Browns are in a situation where like if you lose to them, you fire your coach.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, if the Bengals end up, that'd be really funny. But yeah, it's definitely a must. Every game for them feels like a must win at this point. But yeah, they definitely need it.
Yeah, and again, their defense started to look better against the Giants. I know it was the Giants, but still, they were able to have that game. Like, we look at the Bengals and think about how bad of a situation they're in, but they're 2-4 now. If they can beat the Browns, who they're heavily favored to beat, now you're all of a sudden 3-4. You play the Eagles and the Raiders the next 2 games. I mean, it's not impossible. Like, they're very much still in it. We just talked about the AFC being weak. Like, they have some winnable games still on the schedule. I mean, they play the Broncos, the Titans, the Cowboys, the Browns again, and then it's like Chargers, Steelers, like some Steelers twice, like competitive games as well. Like, this is a team that's very much still in the you cannot count them out yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can count them out for sure. I mean, they've played really well on offense, and I'm going to bet on offense over defense every day. It seems like most of the time. And I think that they have a defense, or I think they have an offense that can carry them into the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I would still probably take them over a team like Pittsburgh that's 2 games ahead of them. I would take them over Indianapolis. I would take them over Denver and Los Angeles, honestly. So, yeah, I still think they have the talent. They have Joe Burrow, and I think that's something that can carry him a long way.
2 cents in the chat says Watson is going to throw for at least 150 yards, 1 interception against the Bengals defense. 2 cents is expecting Watson to go off here, Kyle.
Yeah, that's a lot of yards, man. Let's calm down.
I believe the Browns still have yet to throw for 200 yards passing in a game.
Yeah, that checks out.
It's tough. It's a tough situation that they're in. No one feels bad for them, but it's a tough situation that they're in.
Very much a tough situation. So if only, at least it's almost in a non-guaranteed contract at this point, and they can cut him soon.
Well, it's always a guaranteed contract. I see what you're saying. Yes. It took me a second. Yeah. They're going to have a lot of dead cap next year, I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume so too.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, have you thought at all about maybe the Patriots trade for Myles Garrett?
I'd be in for it, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. No, not biting there. Titans Bills is the final game. This one we're not picking because there was an odd number of games, but we will still talk about it. I think you know who we would have picked here as obviously the Bills, looking for kind of a get right game as they're trying to get back on track, playing the Titans who have really struggled offensively. I don't know if they're going to be too much against this Bills defense that has looked more human as of late, but there are windows here. I just don't know if I trust the Titans offense to do it. And the Bills, even with the Titans defense at times looking good, I think we're all still expecting this Bills, offense to continue to roll here, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw this Titans offense, Will Levis had 95 passing yards against the Colts defense that is worse than this Bills defense. So yeah, I think that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, is there a chance we see Mason? I think, yeah. What are the odds we see Mason Rudolph in this? What percentage are you putting it at?
50-50.
Yeah, I think that's might even be low. I think it might be like 70% Mason Rudolph plays in this one.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he does play. So we saw those two receiver trades. I think it's fair to say DeAndre Hopkins is the next one on deck, right?
It would make sense. Honestly, even Calvin Ridley, like maybe just cut bait now and say, okay, do you want to go, get rid of him as well? Yeah, it would make sense for this to happen. And I guess the one thing you can also look at with this game is how well does Amari Cooper fit in with, in this one?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they give him an extra week to try and integrate with the offense. Maybe he gets a few reps here or there. I don't think they desperately need him for this game. The Jets need Adams to kind of get going right away because they need to win games. And they have a tough game. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's on a 20 snap thing and just trying to get a few reps in here or there, just because I think it would be interesting to see him on the field though, for sure. But I don't think they desperately need him yet.
Yeah, that would make sense. I could see them kind of, having him, play, but maybe not have him play a ton. I don't know. Should be interesting for that. That's where if you're stuck in an area where this is the only game you get, that's what you're watching for. How does Amari Cooper look out there?
Yeah, pretty much get his reps in and see if the Bills can get healthy here and kind of kick some ass against the team they should beat.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. Well, that's our show. A fun show. A lot to talk about. We have what should be a very interesting week coming up. Also, some baseball here, which has been disappointing, I think, so far. Right, Kyle? We're having a rough time right now.
Yeah. The Yankees winning makes me nauseous, so that's not good. I was ready to have a 15-year anniversary party this year, and it seems like it's going to happen, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I hate it when the commentator is like, wow, I forget who it was. I think it was a football commentator who's like, wouldn't it be crazy if the Dodgers and Yankees played each other? I mean, who could have seen that happen? It's like, no, that's not crazy at all. That's like the most normal thing that should be happening. Like, the Dodgers and Yankees should be both in the World Series. That's exactly what should be happening.
Yeah.
The two biggest markets. Like, no, I'm not shocked that they're playing each other in the World Series.
Yeah, it's I think it's the two biggest payrolls too, besides the Mets. So 3 biggest payrolls are in the Final Four. Wow. But I don't know. The games haven't really been competitive this series. I thought the divisional series had some really good games. They haven't been that competitive yet. The Yankees have felt somewhat inevitable. It feels like in the American League.
Yeah, Keyran says, enjoy that shirt, Jackson. It'll be a while before the next. This is my Lightning Stanley Cup shirt. How dare you, Keyran? Banned for life.
Yeah. It's a bit rude. No.
Yeah. Where's the ban button? Got to ban Keyran.
Yeah, get him out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, we're 2-0. Nikita Kucherov, 4 goals. We're back. Lightning are back.
Yeah. Bruins have looked okay. The defense has been a bit shambolic, and they've looked bad against Florida. But I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Florida's going to win it all again. They're annoying. Florida's winning. The Yankees are winning. The Chiefs are winning. I mean, Kyle, nothing ever changes.
Yeah, I'm sick of the Panthers. I want that team to end.
Yeah. Yes. Kyle, let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. It should be available there. Yeah, Kyle, that's our show. Do we have anything else? I think we talked about it all. What a day we had here today, Kyle. We talked about all the games. We talked about Aaron Rodgers, the trades. We talked about baseball and hockey. What else is there in life? I think nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I guess we should probably let everybody know about the show schedule.
Oh, right. I meant to do it at the beginning, but yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, next Wednesday show is going to be on Tuesday at the same time, still 6 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday. And then the following Sunday show, that would be October 27th, is not going to happen. Jackson's actually going to do an online recap by himself. I will be in London. I won't have signal to do a show. So sorry about that. I'm going to go watch West Ham beat Manchester United in person, so that'll be fun. But I'll be back Wednesday, the following Wednesday after that, and I'll do a little mini recap for the games that I missed.
And how you did in London, which, as we all know, does not have internet there, so you'll have to be without internet.
Yeah, no internet at all in London. I don't know what those Brits are up to. Yeah. They're too busy trying to pronounce water.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. So again, just to be clear, this Sunday show is continuing at normal. A week from Sunday is when we won't have a show. I'll have to do another Off the Sideline podcast.
Correct. Yeah.
And just to be clear, Off the Sideline podcast, it does not imply that I am on the field. It just means I am also off the sideline.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. Again, thank you to everybody for sticking around. We do appreciate it. We will see you Sunday at midnight Eastern time. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.